Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from just south of Louisville. And that's how you say it as far as I understand. Louisville. It's not Louisville or Louisville. It's Louisville, as the locals call it. And we have a city like that in Virginia that everybody mispronounces. Norfolk. Not Norfolk. It's Norfolk. Yes. Nor and the word you shouldn't say. That's how you say it if you're from Virginia. Actually, and some of them even go kind of a Norfolk, instead of a Norfolk. Anyway, either I think is okay because I say Norfolk, not Norfolk. Okay, and yeah, I know what you're thinking. I know, Scotty. Didn't get that shower you wanted, did you? Looking a little rough. Yep. Shut up. I'm doing my best. I know. Yes, believe me, I want it. I need a shower, but man. I have to say that one of the things in TNT that I didn't have to think much of was the planning. My trainer would tell me where to go. He'd plug it in the GPS and say, get there. We're gonna sit. He would say we'd sit here this long. We're gonna go drive that. Although not much planning. We just went as long as our clock allowed us. That was our trip planning. But nevertheless, when I'm on my own, that's the part that's completely new. Is doing the math. When you get that load, you got kind of initial math where you look at it and say, can I make it with my clock? You got to make a kind of a quick assessment and then give dispatcher a thumbs up or thumbs down. And then a little bit later, you're either on it or sometime about to leave, you start thinking about it more and doing a little more, more difficult math in there, like really figuring out, okay, if I drive this far, rest this far, I'll make sure I'll be on time, that kind of thing. And that's kind of new, and it's not quite as simple as it seems. There is a lot of factors to weigh, and I'm learning, but the first few loads, they had some time. Really had some time on them, and they were longer runs, and I could go to truck stops pretty much whenever I wanted to. It was nice. These last three have been kind of shorter runs, and they all dropped me at parking in the middle of the night, like midnight to 2 or 3. And they've been, the last two have been in areas that just don't have truck stops for nothing. From Green Bay to Chicago, if you look on Trucker Path, it's all these little quick trip places. Most of them are just gas stations. You can get diesel, but they're not truck parking places. From what I see, there's a few of them that have them, but there's usually like only 7 or 8 spots. They're not big places. And you're in the middle of the night, and so it's kind of a parking nightmare. From the time I got into Wisconsin, the area I was in all the way down to Chicago, just nothing other than these quick trips. So I've been running into rest stops in the middle of the night, and so rest stops are wonderful, and I like rest stops better than I do truck stops. I truly will avoid the truck stops except for showers and maybe if I need to buy something, for the truck, that kind of thing. I'm not going to be a big truck stop person, but you got to take a shower. Oh, I really need one. But yeah, I've been dropped off in the middle of the night, and so I'm just rolling into rest stops the last few nights. Now, when I'm a great backer, and I'm getting there. The last few, I'm getting better and better at each shipper and receiver I've been at. I've been doing fine. But a really busy truck stop in the middle of the night, one spot that everybody's trying to jump in. Yeah, I'm avoiding that, I'll be honest. Call me what you will. That piece, just don't feel quite is in my skill set yet. But I'm going to be pushed to it soon. I never thought that hygiene would be the factor in making me park where I don't want to park. But anyway, so yeah, I will be stopping very soon. Hopefully after this load I can go to a truck stop and get freshened up a bit. All right, but let's see. On to a quick update. I left you. I was at a rest stop. The last video was at a rest stop in Wisconsin. I was going to my 90 on the load from hell that we have been talking about. No big story, unfortunately. 90 went off without a hitch. Trucker pun. I'll probably forget that I said that and use that in later episodes, and you'll go, you already said that joke. But anyway, but yeah, 90 went well. There was some concern going in that there would be a claim that there was an extra pallet, but because they had mislabeled at least one of the pallets. But it turned out it was the 90s. It was mislabeled, but it was there, so they took it. Nothing happened there. From there, my next load went to Chicago. Great distributor. It was one of the, not the huge ones like a Walmart or a Hershey, but one of the bigger ones. Big warehouse and decent maneuverable parking lot, not too bad. But it was placed in an area that was just a madhouse. I mean, it just surrounded by frozen, little, like, smaller companies, frozen food distributors, and they're all like street parking, and trucks having to use the road to back into their places, and there's no parking signs everywhere, but everybody was just totally ignoring them. I mean, lines and lines of trucks and cars under no parking signs. I was one of them. There was no place to stage, so I sat there, and even the office said, that's just what people do here. Nobody gets ticketed, but yeah, they technically are not parking spaces. So just cars in and out, and trucks not enough wide, almost not enough for 2 trucks to pass. Madhouse. But anyway, got through it. My next load, the one I'm on now, the shipper was only like 6 miles away from there. So I had to wait a little bit for that, but anyway, it was 6 miles. Of course, I leave early, and of course, I make a wrong turn because the GPS didn't make a mistake, but it was a few seconds late. I'm passing a turn and it goes, turn right here, and I'm like, okay. So it sends me to reroute, and it puts me right into stopped traffic. And I had left plenty early, but I got there maybe within 5 minutes of being late. I got there right on time. I don't like that. I like being early. But that one went well, no problems. And each one of these, my back-end's getting better and better, dialing it in. So that's where I am now. But this episode, something really cool happened, guys. I just one of those small world coincidences that was just amazing to me. I'm gonna save that one for last. I've got a couple smaller ones that are not quite as impressive, but still kind of neat, and just to talk about small world a little bit. I'm a guy from Virginia, and my family takes vacations. We travel by car, but mostly south to Florida. We're kind of a big Disney World family, or have been before it got, you had to be a billionaire to go. But we go every chance we get. It's been a while. Planning to go next year with trucker money. Anyway, we travel south. We travel north sometimes. And as far as west, we might go a state or 2 over to the west from Virginia. But that's been my kind of domain as far as driving. I hadn't been out west before trucking, except I did have a month in Colorado. I had a ecology hiking trip, which was amazing in Colorado. I spent almost a month, but I flew there. I didn't drive there. And my whole point in this is to say that someone who has barely left the East Coast, in just the 5 months I think it has been that I've been trucking, I've crisscrossed every which way this entire country. Been to California, like back and forth 5 times, 6 times maybe, and another one to Washington. I've been back and forth to Salt Lake City, north, south, everything. I haven't been to every state, but I've been to almost every state trucking now. I think there's only a handful left. And one thing it does, it makes the country seem really small. I mean, I'll be on there's a few interstates out there. One of them that I'm thinking of is Nebraska, that I've driven so many times in TNT that it feels more familiar to me than some of the interstates in Virginia. Like, it's the kind of thing where what the sights you're going to see around the next corner. This town has a really cool, statue, or a neat tourist attraction. Castle of Corn and things like that. There's another one, I don't remember where it was, but there's a statue park that's really amazing coming in. It's someone who's done like these big metal welding statues. You come around the corner and there's this giant like bull's head, sticking out of the ground. Pretty neat. I can't remember where I saw that, but I've passed that 2 or 3 times now. So small world. But anyway, I'm going to lead up to the really cool small world story by 2 lesser ones, starting with the very least interesting, but we'll build. First one was I happened to be at a truck stop. I don't remember when. It was over a week ago, but I was at a truck stop, And you see these really interesting, wide load, long haul, the oversized load carriers. And there's often something really cool on the back. You'll see like the wings of those giant windmills. I saw a glider wing, one of those really big, long white gliders. And the wing was, couldn't believe how big it was, and that could actually be in the air. But this particular time, it was carrying what looked like segments of one of those like old 1970s rockets, NASA rockets, like the segments of the rocket. It wasn't. If you looked closer, it was big water tanks, but they were on their side and lined up, so it kind of looked like part of a rocket. So it was interesting looking, something you'd remember. And I don't know, it was at least 3 days later in a totally different part of the country. I see that same truck pulling into the truck stop I'm in. It's just, crazy coincidence. Second one, load from hell. I was in front of that Quickie Mart that I did the video on. Again, remember, deadheaded there, 480 miles, something like that. Sat for 24 hours in front of that Quickie Mart. Now, while I was there, trucks bobtail doing the same thing I would, came and go in front of me, in back of me. It seemed like I waited the longest. There was some that would be there maybe 12 hours or 8 hours, things like that. They came and went. Didn't think anything of it. Fast forward to when I got the load and I headed up to Wisconsin, and I was at that what do you call it, the weigh station. Okay, and wait, am I getting that right? Yes, the weigh station. Anyway, I pull in in the weigh station. It's kind of like a rest stop. There's usually a line of diagonal parking. All of those were full, but there's more diagonal parking that I think are the ones that they use for inspections. But I went ahead and parked in one of those because it was full. Went to bed. Next morning, wake up. The truck directly in front of me is a Prime truck, and it's I noticed it because I really like the real bright colors. I love mine, but going into this, my little hope was like, I'd love to get like a bright yellow, kind of like Freight Skater's truck, or one of those bright green, like Hulk green trucks. I like a lot of color. Anyway, this one was one of those bright green trucks, and I see the guy get out, and he's kind of doing, looks like an inspection, and then he looks over, I guess notices that I'm a Prime driver, and he just comes over and just wants to chit chat. And he came over, we were talking, and it came out in discussion. We were like, where are you coming from, where are you headed? And he followed the same path I did. I mean, he was actually parked, and I remember it once he said it. He was one of the bobtails that was in front of me at the Quickie Mart. Hundreds of miles away. And it turned out also he was also in Salt Lake City about the time I was, and which makes it a little less coincident when you start to think about why you might be in the same places. We're kind of bumping around in the same freight lanes. We're both in Salt Lake City. Everybody was being routed to Colorado from Salt Lake City. Now, from there on, not necessarily everybody going in the same place. He was heading to New York. I don't know why I have to look at a map. I'm not sure why he was that far north, but I think he might have mentioned that he lived somewhere close to there, so maybe he was doing a little northern run home or whatever. But anyway, he was headed to New York City, and yeah, it was just amazing. The coincidence that you can see somebody, and then just a few days later in a total different part of the country, you see the same people. All right, now to the big one, the one that was really cool. All right. This one happened after that last video. I was at the rest stop waiting to go deliver, and let's see, I want to tell it right. I'm sitting, it's middle of the night, I got about 3 hours till I have to leave to deliver, and I'm just sitting up in the driver's seat watching YouTube, and truck pulls up to the side of me, and the guy gets out, and he gets out differently from most of the time you hold onto the handles and you back out. He got out face first, and it was movement, so I just kind of looked over, and we had that awkward locked eyes moment. So you got to do something. He waves, I wave, and that was it. He went to the restroom, came back, got in the truck. A little bit of time passed, and I'm sitting there looking at YouTube, and I see I get a notification. I try my best to keep up with them. I've become maybe a day or two late, I think. Sorry guys, but I get to them when I can. But this one I saw come in, and I looked, and it said, I think I'm parked next to you. And I'm like, wow. And I looked to the right and left. Right, the guy that I looked at was red truck, and then it was a white truck. I said red or white, although there was no response. So I'm like, oh shoot, what do I do? And I got out, and I kind of assumed it was him because he had looked at me. And so I got out, and I was about to go up to the truck, and he wasn't in the driver's seat. He was in the back. So I'm like, oh, I guess doesn't want to meet Scotty too bad. So I didn't want to bother him. Anyway, I went to the restroom, went up, came back, and he was in the driver's seat, and I just I kind of walked up, and I held up my phone. I was like, did you send me a text? And he's like, yeah. He was on the phone with his wife. He said, I'll call you back, and came out, and we had a great conversation for a while. Just really cool. He doesn't drive for Prime. He's a 4-year driver, and it was nice. He had some really good tips, some help, even on honing in on the backing. Just had a really cool conversation, and it was nice to talk to him because he very much understood what this time period is like, getting out of training and being on your own and being nervous about backing and things like that. And he reassured me quite a bit. It was really nice. I know one of the things he said was, I've been there. He said, you'll be surprised how quick it comes to you. You're thinking it's going to take you a year to get this stuff down. It's not. It's going to be pretty quick. But anyway, it was really cool talking to him. His name was Dale. He's a subscriber, and amazing. It blew my mind, that for one, he's not a Prime driver and not a rookie. And I even asked him, I was like, I'm just curious, what is it about my channel that would draw you in? You're not Prime, you're not a trainee, you're new to trucking, I guess, to some degree, but you're a veteran of sorts. You've been doing it for several years. He said he just really liked the content. He said, you put out good stuff. I'm glad. I'm really trying to up my game, and I think once I get home, if I can up my equipment, get that microphone working, I'd like to get a better dash cam, that kind of thing. And the problem more than that is time. I'm finding that time to edit and all that stuff, the scenic things and everything are nice, but it's hard to piece that together when you don't have a ton of time. But I'm going to try to up my game. But people seem to be enjoying this, and I sometimes wonder why, but I'll keep doing it. Yeah, if y'all are going to keep following, I'll do the best I can, and it'll get better. But anyway, yeah, that was just amazing. So Dale, if you're watching, it was really cool meeting you. Really neat circumstances, and I hope we bump into each other again. That was great. So that's it for today. I started off, I'm at another rest stop. Really nice one though. I seem to be picking some good ones. They're really well manicured. They're like little parks. They're not the real bad ones. This one's comfortable again. And of course, which table does Scotty pick? The furthest one from humanity. Remember that. Okay. All right. So running along again. I am going to hopefully be clean shaven and trimmed up a little bit. I only kind of do the Chichia pet topiary thing, just anything that rogue hair that wants to grow up my nose or whatever, I clip that. But I'm only going to shave it when I get home. Trim it down to nothing, maybe even shave it off, start fresh. So hopefully, if all is going well, hygiene will be a step up. My hygiene game will be a little better next time. Right now, my hygiene is directly related to the fact that I'm stopping in the middle of the night, and just not looking for the headache of fighting over one parking space in a jammed parking lot. So say what you will, veteran truckers, I'm doing the best I can, trying to baby steps. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Be well. Bye.